What would you do if your HOA president told your buyers they'd never fit in because they were Chinese? Would you walk away from an $800,000 sale, or would you fight back? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into how one racist HOA president cost her association $2.3 million, tell me in the comments, have you ever dealt with housing discrimination? And if you want to hear how we caught her red-handed with secret recordings, hit that subscribe button right now. My name's Deshawn Mitchell. In 2015, my wife Tamara and I bought our dream home in Meridian Hills, Idaho, this beautiful subdivision about 20 minutes outside Boise. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, mountain views from the master. We paid $425K, which felt like all the money in the world back then. Fast forward to last year, Micron Technology offered me a senior architect position at their Austin campus. More money, better schools for our twins Brandon and Brianna, and honestly, Idaho winters were getting old. The timing seemed perfect. The Boise market was on fire. Our house appraised at $800K. We'd already put an offer on a place in Austin. Everything was falling into place. Then Dr. Richard Liu called. "Mr. Mitchell, we just finished the showing with Patricia. We'd like to make an offer." Richard was a cardiologist at St. Alphonsus. His wife, Melissa, taught biomedical engineering at Boise State. Their 7-year-old daughter, Grace, had won 3 youth violin competitions. They offered $815,000, cash, 30-day close. Patricia Novak, our realtor, called it a unicorn offer. Above asking, no contingencies, perfect buyers. The Lius came by that weekend for measurements. Grace brought her violin, asked if she could play in what would be her music room. I'm not gonna lie, watching this little girl fill our house with Mozart while her parents planned where their furniture would go, it felt right. Our neighbors, Frank and Elena Rossi, were trimming their hedge. They walked over to introduce themselves. Elena gushed about having another professor in the neighborhood. Frank joked about finally having someone who could explain his cardiac meds. Everything was perfect. The inspection went smooth. The Lius loved that we'd installed a heat pump and smart home system. Grace was already making friends with the Rossi kids next door. Then I saw her, Dottie Cunningham. Everyone called her Dottie, HOA president for the last 5 years, standing at the property line, watching the Lius like a hawk studies mice. "New buyers?" she asked, walking over with this fake smile. "The Lius," I said. "Richard and Melissa. They're doctors." She studied them through our kitchen window. "Lou, that's Chinese?" "They're from Portland," I said. "No, but originally. Where are they from originally?" The way she said originally made my stomach drop. Tamara must have felt it too, because she appeared at my side, phone already in her hand. "Portland," I repeated. "They're from Portland." Dottie's smile got tighter. "Of course. Well, I'll need to review their application for the HOA transfer. We have standards to maintain." She walked away, already pulling out her phone. I heard her say, "Emergency board meeting," before she got out of earshot. I should have known right then, should have warned the Linguses. But I thought Dottie was just being nosy. I had no idea she was about to blow up our entire sale. That emergency board meeting? Dottie scheduled it for the very next night. I only found out because Yuki Tanaka texted me. She was the HOA treasurer, Japanese-American, moved here from Seattle 3 years ago. Heads up, her message read. Dottie's trying to invoke the right of first refusal on your sale. I had to Google what that even meant. Turns out, buried in our HOA bylaws from 1987, there was this clause. The HOA could match any offer on a home sale within 72 hours. They'd have the right to buy the property instead of the proposed buyer. Has anyone ever used it? I asked Patricia when I called her in a panic. In my 20 years, never. It's basically unenforceable. Don't worry. But I was worried, especially when Dottie showed up at our door that evening. Deshawn, Tamara, she said, standing on our porch like she owned it. I wanted to discuss your buyers. What about them? Tamara asked, her phone already recording in her pocket. Nothing personal, but we have certain standards in Meridian Hills, property values to protect. You understand? No, I don't understand. Dottie sighed like she was explaining something to a child. The Liu family, they seem lovely, but are they really the right fit? Those people tend to have large, extended families, multiple generations in one house. It changes the character of a neighborhood. Those people, Tamara's voice was deadly quiet. Those people are 2 doctors with 1 child. You know what I mean. Different cultures. The cooking smells, the loud gatherings, the "get off our property," I said. Dottie's face hardened. I'm trying to help you. Think about your investment. What happens to property values when the neighborhood becomes too diverse? Lady, we are the diversity, Tamara snapped. Or did you forget we're black? That's different. You're established. You've proven you fit in. But opening the floodgates to get out. She left, but not before saying, find different buyers or I'll make this very difficult for everyone. The next morning, Gerald Hoffman called. He was on the HOA board, retired Boeing engineer, good guy. Deshawn, I'm sorry about this. The meeting was a disaster. Dottie showed a whole presentation about protecting neighborhood integrity, even had statistics about Asian population growth in Boise. You're kidding. I wish. Yuki and I voted against using the first refusal. So did Carl Brenner. But Dottie has Beth Markham and Todd Stevens in her pocket. Vote was 3-2. Can they actually do this? They're going to try. Filed the paperwork this morning. HOA has until Thursday at 5 p.m. to match the Liu's offer. My heart sank. The HOA had maybe $50K in reserves? How could they match an $815,000 offer? Gerald cleared his throat. There's more. Dottie's been calling residents, asking for emergency contributions to save our neighborhood. She's telling people the Lius will turn your house into a multifamily rental. That's insane! I know, but Mrs. Patterson already pledged $10,000. She's got others considering it. I hung up feeling sick. We had 48 hours before the deadline. Our Texas house was waiting. The Lius had already given notice on their rental. That afternoon, Elena Rossi started a counterpetition supporting our sale. She got 12 signatures in 2 hours. Dottie got 20 for hers. The battle lines were drawn. Thursday morning, day 3 of the 72-hour window. The deadline was 5 p.m. Richard Liu called at 9 a.m. "Mr. Mitchell, we're here for the final walkthrough, but there's a woman blocking your driveway." I knew before he said her name. When I pulled up 10 minutes later, Dottie had the Lius cornered by their Tesla. Patricia was there too, looking ready to commit murder. "And you should know the HOA is matching your offer," Dottie was saying. "So really, there's no point in proceeding." "The HOA doesn't have $815,000, Richard said calmly, holding up his phone. I noticed the record button was on. That's when Dottie said it. The words that would cost her everything. "You'd never fit in here. This isn't Chinatown." The silence was deafening. "Excuse me?" Melissa's voice was ice. "Your daughter's violin practice would disturb everyone. We value peace and quiet here." "She practices in a soundproof room," Richard said. "What about your relatives? Chinese New Year, the fireworks, the dragons. We don't do that here." Grace Liu, all 7 years of her, spoke up from the back seat. "We're American. We do American New Year." "Doesn't matter," Dottie snapped. "You people always cluster together. One Chinese family moves in, suddenly the whole neighborhood." "Stop talking," I said, walking up. "Dottie, you're on my property without permission. Leave. Now." She whirled on me. "I'm trying to save your investment. Don't you care that—" "The only thing I care about is you leaving before I call the police." Patricia stepped forward. "Mrs. Cunningham, I'm recording this interaction. You've made explicitly discriminatory statements that violate federal housing law." "I said nothing wrong. I'm protecting property values." "From what?" Richard asked quietly. "From doctors? From a little girl who plays violin? What exactly are you protecting?" Dottie's face went red. "From people who won't assimilate, who bring their foreign ways and expect us to accommodate. This is America." "We're third-generation Americans," Melissa said, tears in her eyes. "My grandfather fought in World War II." "Doesn't matter. Blood is blood." I felt Tamara's hand on my arm. She'd arrived and was filming everything. "Mrs. Cunningham," Richard said, still deadly calm, "I want to be very clear. We're buying this house, and if you attempt to interfere with this sale through illegal discrimination, we will pursue every legal remedy available." Dottie turned to her audience, because by now half the neighborhood was watching from their driveways. "You all see this? They're threatening me for trying to protect our community." Frank Rossi spoke up from his lawn. "Dottie, go home. You're embarrassing yourself." "I have the votes. The HOA will match their offer by 5 o'clock.
With what money? Yuki Tanaka had arrived waving a folder. "I'm the treasurer. We have exactly $47,832 in reserves." "Private donations? You mean the $30,000 that you've collected?" Yuki smiled grimly. "That's still $785,000 short. And using HOA power to collect private funds for discrimination, that's federal prison, Dottie." The color drained from Dottie's face. Richard Liu held up his phone. I have everything on video, every racist word." As Dottie drove away, Richard Liu turned to me. His hands were shaking. "We still want the house," he said. "Even more now." Elena Rossi posted the video to our neighborhood Facebook group within an hour. By lunch, 3 news vans were parked outside. The 5 p.m. deadline came and went. The HOA couldn't match the offer. But Dottie wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The following Monday, Richard Liu's video had 200,000 views. Racist HOA president caught on camera was trending on local Twitter. That's when the lawyers arrived. Benjamin Watanabe called the Lius first. He was Idaho's top civil rights attorney, Japanese-American, 4th generation. "I've been waiting years for a case this clear-cut," he told them. "She said blood is blood on camera. That's a federal hate crime." The Lius hired him immediately. Then they called us. "We want you as co-plaintiffs," Richard said. "She tortiously interfered with your sale. Cost you money. We're stronger together." Our damages were already piling up. The Texas sellers gave us 48 hours to close or lose the house. We had to take out a bridge loan at 12% interest. Tamara was starting her new job via Zoom from Idaho instead of Austin. Every day cost us money. Then Patricia forwarded an email that changed everything. "Deshawn, you need to see this. Dottie sent this to the entire HOA board last Tuesday before she ever met the Lius." The email read, "Emergency, Chinese buyers attempting to purchase the Mitchell home. We must invoke first refusal to maintain racial balance. Remember what happened to Willow Creek after the Asians moved in? Property values dropped 30%. There was no Willow Creek. She'd made it up. But it got worse." Gerald Hoffman, disgusted by what happened, turned whistleblower. He brought 3 years of board emails to Watanabe's office. "Look at this pattern," Watanabe showed us. 2019, she blocked the Jackson family. Claimed financial concerns, but Dr. Terrence Jackson had an 820 credit score. 2020, the Patels said their offer was suspicious despite being all cash. 2021, the Nguyen's concerned about property maintenance, even though Mr. Nguyen owns a landscaping company. "All minorities?" Tamara asked. "Every single one." But here's the smoking gun. Private emails between Dottie and Beth Markham. Quote, "Successfully maintain demographic standards. Neighborhood remains 91% white." She's documenting her own discrimination. The HOA's insurance companies sent their lawyers, big firm from Boise. They tried to lowball us. Regrettable misunderstanding, they called it. Watanabe laughed them out of his office. Then the other families started coming forward. Dr. Jackson had kept recordings. The Patels had saved every email. Monica Tran had testimony from 3 neighbors who heard Dottie say, "We don't want your kind here." By Wednesday, we had 14 families, all with evidence, all with damages. The HOA board called an emergency meeting to remove Dottie. She showed up with her own lawyer. "This is a witch hunt," she screamed. "I've protected this neighborhood for 5 years." The vote was 4-3 to suspend her powers pending investigation. Dottie sued the HOA for defamation that same night. Meanwhile, our bills kept mounting. The bridge loan, 2 mortgages, storage unit for our packed belongings. Tamra was sleeping 3 hours a night. "Maybe we should just find different buyers," she said one night, exhausted. "No," I said. "The Lius still want the house, and if we back down now, Dottie wins." Friday afternoon, Watanabe called with news that made everything worse. "I've been reviewing the HOA financials. Dottie's been paying herself $2,000 monthly consulting fees, unauthorized. She also hired a private investigator to run background checks, but only on minority buyers. She used HOA funds." "That's embezzlement," I said. "That's the least of her problems. The FBI just called. They're opening a federal investigation. This isn't just civil anymore. It's criminal." The story exploded nationally that weekend. Idaho HOA president faces federal charges. Our phones wouldn't stop ringing. Property values in Meridian Hills started dropping as buyers worried about the racist neighborhood. Dottie had tried to protect property values by keeping out minorities. Instead, she destroyed them by exposing herself as a bigot. The FBI arrived on a Tuesday.
2 agents in dark suits knocking on doors, asking questions about Dottie Cunningham's business practices. Agent Sandra Reeves called me that afternoon. "Mr. Mitchell, we need to discuss what you know about prevented sales in your neighborhood." Turns out the Linus's video had triggered something bigger. HUD had been tracking suspicious patterns in Idaho housing for years. Meridian Hills was now ground zero. "We've identified 23 attempted purchases by minority families since 2018, Agent Reeves told me. 14 were blocked. Can you guess the common denominator?" The evidence was overwhelming. Dr. Terrence Jackson flew in from Seattle to testify. "She told me my offer was concerning," he said. "Made me submit 3 years of tax returns, then claimed my software company income was unstable. I've been profitable for a decade." The Gupta family story was worse. They'd actually moved into a rental nearby, hoping to buy in Meridian Hills.
"Every house we bid on suddenly had issues," Mrs. Gupta explained. "Inspection problems that vanished when white families bid. But the smoking gun came from Dottie's own computer. Watanabe's team had subpoenaed her emails during discovery. What they found was staggering. A folder labeled Neighborhood Preservation with photos of every minority family who'd tried to buy, background checks she'd illegally run, credit reports she'd accessed without permission, and the messages, God, the messages, to her friend Carol. Kept another one out, neighborhood still safe. To a potential buyer's agent, "Your clients seem lovely, but perhaps Willow Ridge would be more suitable." Willow Ridge was 67% minority. To Beth Markham, "The Changs trying again, different realtor this time, already called Jim at the bank about their unusual finances." She'd built a network, bankers who'd find problems with minority applications, inspectors who'd discover issues during walkthroughs,
Realtors who'd steer clients elsewhere. "This is racketeering," Agent Reeves said. "Conspiracy to violate federal housing law. Each incident carries up to a year in prison." The investigation revealed Dottie had also been embezzling HOA funds. Those consulting fees never approved. The private investigator paid $15,000 to investigate only minority buyers.
She'd even used HOA money to attend a seminar called Protecting Community Standards, run by a white nationalist group. By March, the media circus was insane. The HOA from hell, Idaho's racist gatekeeper. Property values in Meridian Hills dropped 20%. For sale signs popped up everywhere. The financial forensics got worse. The HOA was essentially bankrupt. Insurance would cover $1 million max. The potential damages to all affected families? Over $5 million. Every homeowner will face a special assessment, Yuki warned at an emergency meeting, probably $40,000 to $50,000 each. The room exploded.
People who'd supported Dottie suddenly wanted her head. Others blamed us for not handling it quietly. Mrs. Patterson, who'd pledged $10,000 to block the Liuses, stood up. I didn't know she was doing anything illegal. She said she was protecting us. From what? Yuki asked. From doctors? From engineers? From small business owners? Look at the families she blocked. Every one of them more qualified than most of us were when we bought. The meeting ended with a vote to cooperate fully with federal investigators and to liquidate every HOA asset to pay damages. But Dottie still wasn't done fighting. Her lawyer claimed she was being persecuted for protecting traditional values. That statement led 3 more families to come forward. 6 months after that driveway confrontation, we sat in federal court. Judge Patricia Hernandez looked at the mountain of evidence and shook her head. In 30 years on the bench, I'd never seen discrimination this documented. Miss Cunningham, you created a paper trail of your own crimes. The settlement conference was brutal. Dottie's insurance had already maxed out at $1 million. Her personal assets, house, retirement, savings, totaled another $400,000. The HOA's insurance added another $1 million, still short. My clients need full compensation, Watanabe stated. The list was staggering. The Lius, $800,000. The house they couldn't buy, emotional distress, legal fees. Us, $400,000. Bridge loans, lost equity, 2 mortgages for 5 months. Dr. Jackson, $500,000. He'd lost a job opportunity when he couldn't relocate. The Guptas, $300,000, 2 years of rental payments while being blocked. 9 other families, $300,000 to $450,000 each. Total, $4.7 million. The HOA doesn't have it, their lawyer said. Then the HOA needs to find it, Judge Hernandez replied, or file bankruptcy. The room went silent. Bankruptcy meant losing common areas, no maintenance fund, no snow removal. Meridian Hills would effectively cease to exist as a managed community. Gerald Hoffman did the math out loud. Special assessment of $47,000 per household. That's on top of our mortgages. I don't have $47,000, someone shouted. Then vote to dissolve, Yuki said simply. Sell the common areas, pay the victims, move on. The criminal case was simpler. Faced with 14 counts of federal housing discrimination, Dottie's lawyer negotiated a plea. 6 months house arrest, 2 years probation, $50,000 fine, lifetime ban from any HOA or real estate role. "This is persecution," Dottie said at sentencing. "I was protecting—" "You were protecting nothing," Judge Hernandez cut her off. "You violated the civil rights of dozens of families. You corrupted an entire community. You turned neighbors into conspirators. The only thing you protected was your own bigotry." The settlement finalized at $2.3 million, all the insurance money plus Dottie's assets.
The families agreed to reduce claims rather than bankrupt neighbors who'd done nothing wrong. But the HOA still voted to dissolve. Too much bad blood, too much liability. The Lius closed on our house 2 weeks later. Reduced price of $790,000. We ate the loss just to get it done. At closing, Grace Lio played her violin, Ode to Joy. There wasn't a dry eye. "You sure you still want this house?" I asked Richard. "After everything?" "Especially after everything," he said. "Someone needs to prove Dottie wrong." Dottie's sentencing made national news. Idaho HOA president gets house arrest for housing discrimination. She sold her house to pay legal bills. Last anyone heard, she'd moved to Montana to live with her daughter. Her daughter, who publicly apologized for her mother's actions. "I'm ashamed I didn't see it sooner. To all the families hurt by my mother's hate, I'm sorry." The HOA officially dissolved 3 months later. Meridian Hills became just another neighborhood.
Property values, surprisingly, started recovering. Turns out buyers liked the idea of no HOA after our story went viral. "Worth it?" Tamra asked as we unpacked in Austin. I thought about the Luteas hosting their first 4th of July barbecue, the Guptas who finally bought the corner house, Dr. Jackson who moved in next door to them. "Yeah," I said, "worth it." The last email I got from that whole mess was from Grace Lio, a video of her winter recital. She dedicated her performance to the Mitchells who fought for what's right. She played Fight Song in a room full of neighbors who'd learned what discrimination really costs. $2.3 million, to be exact. 1 year later, I got a text from Richard Lio. "You need to see this." He sent a photo from the Meridian Hills annual block party. The same street where Dottie had confronted them was packed with families. Korean barbecue from the Tangs, tamales from the new family, the Hernandezes, Dr. Jackson's famous Carolina pulled pork, and Grace Liu playing violin on a makeshift stage. "Wish you could be here," Richard added. Meridian Hills had transformed. Without an HOA, neighbors actually talked to each other. The Guptas organized a Diwali celebration. The Chens, different family, moved in after us, started a Lunar New Year tradition. Property values hadn't just recovered, they'd increased 15%. "Most diverse neighborhood in Idaho County," Elena Rossi told me on a video call. "And the most sought after. Turns out people like living where everyone's welcome." The legal aftermath rippled beyond Idaho. Our case became required reading at real estate schools. The Meridian Hills Incident, that's what textbooks called it. A cautionary tale about discrimination's real cost. HUD used our evidence to investigate 12 other HOAs across Idaho and Oregon. Found similar patterns in 3. All faced federal charges. Dottie, she made news once more. arrested at a Montana school board meeting for screaming about demographic replacement. Violated her probation, got 90 days in jail. Her daughter Rachel reached out to the Lius, apologized again, started volunteering with fair housing organizations. I want to undo some of the harm, she said. The best part? Other victims we'd never known about came forward after the verdict, shared their stories, started support groups. One family even bought in Meridian Hills specifically because of what happened. We wanted to live where people fought against discrimination, they said. Yuki Tanaka now runs diversity training for HOA boards nationwide. Gerald Hoffman wrote a book about standing up to prejudice. Even Beth Markham, Dottie's former ally, became an advocate for fair housing. I was complicit, Beth admitted. I chose comfort over conscience. Never again. Tamara and I settled into Austin life. Used part of our settlement to create a scholarship fund for minority students pursuing real estate law. Benjamin Watanabe matches our contribution annually. The Lius, they became the heart of Meridian Hills. Richard joined the school board. Melissa started a STEM program for underprivileged kids. Grace got into Juilliard's pre-college program. Her application essay was about music bringing communities together. Last Christmas, we visited. The whole neighborhood threw a party. Grace played a piece she'd composed, Where We Belong. Frank Rossi pulled me aside. You know what Dottie never understood? Different cultures don't weaken a neighborhood. They make it richer. Look around. This is what America actually looks like. He was right. Kids of every color playing together, parents swapping recipes, neighbors being neighbors. The HOA never reformed. Nobody wanted one. They govern by consensus now. Neighbors actually talking instead of hiding behind bylaws.
Sometimes I wonder about Dottie. Living in Montana, watching the world change without her. Her legacy, a $2.3 million reminder that hate has a price. But our legacy, look at Grace Liu on that stage, playing for her neighbors. Look at the Gupta kids teaching Rangoli art. Look at Dr. Jackson's son headed to Howard University on our scholarship. That's worth more than any house. Hey everyone, I say to my YouTube audience, thanks for staying with this story. Remember, evil thrives when good people do nothing. But when we stand up, when we fight back, sometimes we don't just win. Sometimes we transform entire communities. What's your story? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe in fighting for what's right, hit that subscribe button. Because every neighborhood deserves to be a place where everyone belongs.